Welcome to the second episode about VIA 1.8. In this video, I want to focus on managing attributes. In previous versions of VIA, adding additional attributes to agents or links was rather hidden. The functionality was hidden in the Layers option menu and the user interface was rather limited. More complex attributes, like the dynamic link attributes or link differences, were available as special layers. Attributes could only be loaded to agents, but not to vehicles, as these two entities were not separated. So there was a lot to be improved. In VIA 1.8, attributes can be managed directly in the Layer Setup dialog. This is the case for vehicles, link and node attributes, and newly even for facilities. Let's have a look at link attributes. If we open the dialog, we see the list of available attributes. Some of the attributes now provide additional settings. The free speed attribute, for example, now offers to set the unit. Maxim by default uses meters per second. If such values are used as link labels or to set up colors, they were often confusing as people were not used to this unit. This also allows to use real-world values when setting the colors for such an attribute. To add additional attributes, switch over to the Add tab. Here we have several options. The first one, From File, is always available. It allows to load arbitrary, static attributes from text files or from Maxim object attributes. The second option, Aggregate vehicle attributes, will be discussed in a minute. Then there are the two remaining options, Attribute difference and Average speeds and volumes. These two options replace the two layers, dynamic link attributes and difference network. Let's create the attributes average speeds and volumes. After clicking on the button Create Attributes, the events file is parsed. In my example scenario, this is very fast. In larger scenarios, this might take a while. We can switch back to the list of attributes, and there they are. These new attributes again provide some settings each. The absolute volumes, for example, provides a time resolution and a multiplicator, the settings previously available in the layer settings. The absolute average speeds also provides a time resolution as well as the unit we already know from the free speed attribute. If an attribute is no longer needed, we can remove it by clicking on the black cross at the end of the attribute name. Let's go back to Add New Attributes and have a look at the option Aggregate Vehicle Attributes that we left out before. This is a new but very powerful functionality and can be seen as a generalization of the average speeds and volumes attributes. To better understand the new functionality, let's take a step back and think about the average speeds and volumes attributes. The absolute volumes attribute counts the numbers of vehicles that leave a link in a given time period. The average speed attribute takes the speeds of all the vehicles passing the link in a given time period and takes the average of it. So both attributes actually take a look at the vehicles traveling on a link in a given time and then either count them or take the average of a vehicle's attribute. The new attribute Aggregate Vehicle Attributes does exactly the same thing, but is user configurable. Given all vehicles traveling on a link in a given time period, this attribute calculates an aggregation of the vehicle's attributes values. We can actually replicate the absolute volumes attribute by taking the count of the vehicles when leaving the link. Or we can replicate the average speeds by taking the average of the vehicle speeds when leaving the link. Or we can take the sum of the number of passengers in a vehicle when the vehicle enters the link. A very useful information when dealing with public transportation. If we load additional attribute for vehicles or drivers, we could calculate further attributes, like the average age of all drivers of a link, or if you have income as an attribute to your population, the average income of the drivers on a link. Or if you have a vehicle fleet where every vehicle has an age, you could calculate the average age of the vehicle on a link. As an example, let's calculate the offered transit capacity on links. For this, we first go to the vehicles. Here we add new attributes for vehicles taking them from the transit vehicles file. Now go back to the link attributes and add the sum of seats as an attribute. Let's name it seating capacity and add it as a label to the links. There we have it. The nice thing is, this attribute is also time dependent. If we go back to the attribute and select it, then we see that we can change the time window for which we want the aggregation to be done. MATSIM uses directed links, so visually you usually get two values for a connection between two nodes, one for each direction. In some special cases, it may even happen that you have more than one link connecting two nodes in the same direction. In such cases, the different values would be printed on top of each other and it is not very readable. Luckily, VIA 1.8 offers a solution for this as well. Let's go to the links options, and here we have some new settings. Combine parallel links. This allows to aggregate the attribute values of two or more links if they connect to the same two nodes in one direction. There is also an option to combine opposite directions. If we enable this option, you can see that the values are summed up. In some special cases, links on top of each other are connected to different nodes, with the nodes also being on top of each other. VIA could even first combine the nodes to better recognize such parallel links and aggregate them after this. Not in all cases the sum is the correct aggregation. Let's think back at the example of the average speeds along the links. Taking the sum of speeds is not really meaningful. For this reason, we can specify how this aggregation of multiple links should be done. This setting is available for each property, like color, transparency, width, and also for the labels. So, as you see, there is a lot of new stuff to discover in VIA 1.8, lots of things to try out and play around, and especially many great enhancements for analyzing MATSIM runs. Thanks for watching!